Welcome in, everybody, to Leading Off right here on Fantasy Pros. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That, of course, is the birthday boy, Dinger Dan Harris. And it's you, and we're talking all things baseball today, but mostly just how great Juan Soto is. And Dan, you are here, and your birthday present for me is obviously quality time. That's what we get to spend together. We got DFS to break down, we got ups and downs, and some more injuries as always here on the program. But Dinger Dan, happy birthday. How does it feel to be 35?
Thank you, man. I'm 41 actually. I'm like maturity wise, I'm like 12, and just the way I feel is about 93. So it's a nice sort of round birthday. I am glad to be here. There is nowhere I would rather be. Look at all the happy birthdays coming in from the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. There's really I could have been like, it's my birthday, I'm off the show, whatever, but nah, man, this is where I want to be. I'm glad to be here with you, with our listeners, and it was a great night of baseball, like a really fascinating night of baseball. So I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Some more huge run totals too. Boy, that trend has not gone away. You see 18 spots. You see, remember yesterday we talked about the over of that Boston game when they did it all by themselves. Oh my goodness. Some crazy stuff to talk about. But as promised yesterday, I'm just going to get it out of the way. Today in Shohei, a new segment on the show. Before we even get to ups and downs, I want to get it out of the way for everybody. Today in Shohei, last night, Ohtani whiffs 8 in a no decision against the A's. So, yeah, there you go. That's your little bit of Shohei Ohtani moment there. Let's get to the ups. How in the world, Dan, did the New York Mets somehow win that game yesterday?
Dude.
Your boy Guillorme looked like a young Steve Sachs in the infield. Just like he couldn't catch or throw anything. It was horrendous. They blew 3 leads. Right? They also had 4 errors in this game, but 7 home runs, I guess, made up for it. What a wild contest that was.
Yeah, so I watched the whole thing. It went late. I was glued because I was like, all right, because the good part about right now, Joe, is for whatever reason, yesterday I found myself, usually I have 1,000 things to do at all times. Yesterday I found myself with like only a couple things to do at night. So I was like, I'm going to watch this game. And like the win, I think Anthony DeComo was one of the beat writers, tweeted out about like the win probability was like the most insane roller coaster ride that you ever saw. Yeah, it was an incredible game. I love that team. They've got a ton of heart considering they could have rolled over like 6 times. There are a couple of fantasy takeaways from it, by the way. One is I'm actually worried about Edwin Diaz. You're probably going to tell me I'm overreacting. Are you?
No, I was going to go there next. You know, he's been so good, but he's hit a rough patch. Now, with a lot of closers, it's more mental than physical. Let's be honest.
But Joe, I am worried because one of the things we've worried about with Diaz, you see him, by the way, have these seasons, right, where he's completely dominant, then he's terrible, and he's dominant, whatever. He's, it's been like that with us, essentially. I hate to run to the sticky stuff, but he cannot control the fastball right now. He has absolutely nothing. He is trying to get by with his slider, which, by the way, does not have a ton of movement. It's mostly getting by on the fact that the speed differential between that and his 100-mile-an-hour fastball. This is 3 blown saves in a row. He doesn't have anybody knocking on the door to take the job because Seth Lugo has also been bad. Trevor May did come in yesterday and get the save, but he hasn't been good. But if I roster Diaz, man, I am a little nervous about this. Someone who I'm not nervous about is Michael Conforto, who we said it, Joe, right? All day long, baby.
Buy. That was what I wrote on Fantasy Pros, right? It was like, who's your biggest buy for the stretch run? Michael Conforto, because it's going to come around. He is George Springer light statistically going into this year. And that's the comp. And then people are like, what, are you crazy? And I was like, go look at the stats from last year on both of those players and tell me how it's not basically George Springer. And you're getting him at a discount. And hopefully you took that. Jaron Duran, who was one of our lineup builders yesterday, if you recall, on FanDuel and DK, well, he went yard. Nice home run for him as the Red Sox certainly woke up offensively. My goodness, how much do I love Colorado East? I love Buffalo. It's just the best. And some guy named Juan Soto hit not 1, but 2 more home runs yesterday. Don't look now, Penguins. I'm coming up for the top spot. I see you. But yeah, Juan Soto is red hot right now, and it's a good feeling. And you know what's funny too? He's leading the league in OBP. He's leading the league in walks. I don't know if you knew that. Those 2 little fun facts there, and that's with him missing some time earlier in the season. So that's pretty impressive on top of obviously the many dingers that he's hitting here for me.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, there's very little. I mentioned it yesterday how you feel like it's just going to be the opposite of what we saw in the first half, which was kind of this, can't really get going. I don't know. Like, of course you're starting him. He's still valuable, whatever. And now he's just going to absolutely explode. Now they did put up however many. I mean, John Lester hit a home run last night, right? Everybody hit a home run in the Nationals, but it doesn't matter. No. This is going to be.
Here's a fun question. Remember a couple days ago where I said, hey, with this DeGrom injury, before they put him on the IL, if you could still bet somewhere on Tatis, do it. Because if you go on FanDuel right now, you can't bet MVP for the National League. It's not on.
I know. Or on DraftKings as well.
Right. So everything's down there on most of those places. Now, when that comes back, it's going to be fascinating because going into this, I think the last time I saw Soto is like 50-1 or something crazy like that. Whatever Soto's number is, I would put some small chips on it because if he continues to do this down the stretch and somehow the Nats get into the playoffs, that's going to be a fascinating little bit of investment that you could make. I still think Tatis is the guy, but Tatis is also an injury risk too. And that's just something to always keep in mind here, that sometimes it's that guy who has that last final run that really kind of wins the award. I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm saying it's becoming very interesting from a speculative standpoint at the very least. The downs from yesterday, the Rangers get blanked again. So this is like 172 innings here without scoring. Mookie Betts scratched yesterday from Monday's lineup. We talked about this being a problem there with the hip inflammation. And the oblique strain sends Brendan Crawford to the IL. Another guy who's had incredibly... where did this power come from? Where do these numbers come from at 35 years old for Brendan Crawford? That is bizarre. But we have some good news here, too. So from the stuff category, we have John Means ready to go. He's going to start tonight for the O's after missing more than a month's time. Carlos Carrasco, with his hamstring injury, is going to make his second and possibly final start on Tuesday. Could not come at a better time here for the New York Mets. And very cool also, there's going to be an all-female broadcast crew who's going to make history.
Yeah.
So Heidi Watney and... Lauren Gardner, I believe, are going to be the co-host for the pre and post. Sarah Lang's going to be the analyst. Melanie Newman's doing the play-by-play. Melanie does a great job.
Yeah,
and Alana great. Rizzo, one of the OGs from
also
MLB Network back in the day. She's going to be doing the sideline reporting, if you were dugout reporting. So that's a very cool bit of news. So congratulations, lady, on some history. But John Means coming back, Carrasco coming back. What are your expectations here for John Means, especially tonight in this game against the Rays?
I'm not starting him tonight against the Rays, even though the Rays have not exactly been. I so rarely start guys in their first start off the IL. Obviously, Means was fantastic this entire year. It's great to see. I sound like a tinfoil hat person, but I am interested more in Means because of the fact that, like, the sticky stuff thing is something where you're like, well, we've seen like jumps and spin rates. Like Means actually at one point,
Means basically this was Means.
Correct.
Can I have the ball?
You knew that Means was very clearly using stuff. And again, a lot of it, Joe, as you have aptly mentioned, is psychological with this stuff. Like it helps, but then guys, when they stop using it, they're like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't like it.
Confidence helps.
Exactly.
What they should do is give them all some sort, I don't know, put Play-Doh or silly putty or something in their gloves and just let them think they're getting an advantage and just move on with this already.
But so I'm interested in Means, of course. I am a little concerned. I'm not starting him tonight. Carrasco, I'm very excited about Carrasco, not just as a doofus Mets fan, but as a fantasy manager. Carrasco, since he recovered, it was leukemia, right? I believe that's what he had. Mm-hmm. Since he recovered from that, he was very good last year. Prior to that, he was like being drafted as a top 15 starter and stuff like that.
Last year he was a top 15 starter.
There's very little reason to doubt that he's going to be able to perform. Other than he's had a long layoff, they're building him up. They might be bringing him back a little too quickly, not overall, but just in terms of when he started throwing bullpens in actual games. Like I feel like ideally they would stretch him out a little longer, but they are dying for pitching. But either way, he's got to be rostered at this point, I'm sure. But I'm optimistic as to what we're going to see from him so long as he's healthy in the National League, given what we've seen from him in the past. So really, I'm actually a little more excited to see Carrasco back than I even am Means right now.
A lot of people asking, am I going to let it ride again with Juan Soto? We went Friday, Saturday, Sunday into Monday.
You should, Joe.
You'll just have to wait till the end of the show to see where we're at. And by the way, those home runs that he hit, just laser wall scraping, Oppo field.
But he's just Oppo all day long. Well, I love it.
And that's the thing. We talked about from a hitting standpoint, when you are closed with your front side as much as Juan Soto is, and as long as he is, what he's able to do is he's able to wait longer on the ball because he stays inside the baseball. And when the ball is outside, he can not only hit that outside pitch, but he could drive that outside pitch. And that is something like you set up tee work for that when you're teaching people to do that. Right. You set the tee on the outside and you have people stay inside, listen to the ball, and then try to drive the ball from that backside leg. But he's able to do that because he's so strong anyway. But then just from a technical standpoint, if you were to like make a hitter in a lab, like when I watch Juan Soto hit, he can do all of those things that you try to get people to do some of them, and you could be a very good hitter. He does all of them, and it's stunning. It's just.
I'm going to add only one thing, which has nothing to do with baseball whatsoever, but I will say that my first date with my wife at the time, my wife was the only, as you know, I was a lawyer. That's where I met my wife at the first law firm that we worked at in New York City. And she was the only female on the company softball team at the time.
There you
She's
go.
quite an athlete, but her bat speed is like, grade A. Let's just say that. And with slow pitch, she was pulling everything foul. And my first date with her was basically teaching her to go the opposite way, which is what I feel like, right? That was our first date.
Love at first sight.
That was it,
baby. You know what you should do today for your birthday? Say, baby, I'm feeling romantic. Let's go to the batting cage, you and me. Oh,
That's what I would do.
Have a couple mimosas, and then let's go hit some
let me show you.
Let's
go Juan Soto it up for my birthday, baby. Yeah, that's what.
All right, other standouts not named Juan Soto. I guess there were a few. Cole Irvin, 7 shutout innings, 3 Ks against the Angels. And Enrique Hernandez, Kiki, 3 for 5, 2 dingers for him. He's up to 13. Conforto, 2 home runs of his own, not too shabby. 3 over his last 3 games. How you doing? Zach Greinke, 4 Ks against the Indians. He only went 5 1/3. Mitch Garver, who we're going to talk about tonight in DFS, going against the lefty. Mitch Garver, 2 for 3, 2 dingers. Welcome back off the IL. Ohtani had the 6 shutout innings, 8 Ks as we mentioned. Also had the double in that game. Akil Baddoo, 2 for 5 with a dinger. John Lester, 7 Ks, 7 shutout innings, and a home run. Paul Goldschmidt, 2 for 5 with a dinger. He's got 4 in his last 5 too. Don't forget about Goldie. He can still play baseball. He's not elite, but he's still very good.
I want to give you the kudos on that, Joe, because and you even called him, like, not only were you in on him coming into the year, you were buying him, and you mentioned him as buy low, and I basically like smacked you in the face virtually. I was like, "What are you talking about, Joe? There's no power
hurt here or here so much as right
here." Great reference. Okay, right, not here. Anyway, I didn't like what I saw. Like, he was in the ball hard, but like the power had been gone for a year and a half. But now his StatCast data was always really good this entire season. And it's now just kind of like, okay, well, now it's really warm and it's finally evening out. He's been great, as has Baddoo, by the way. Baddoo is a guy who has now drastically cut his strikeout rate, kind of adjusted back after pitchers adjusted.
He's a good athlete.
He is a really good, and
and when the whole Baddoo, Yerman, Mercedes thing was going on, I was like, look, Yerman Mercedes is going to be a thing for a month and then it's going to disappear. But Baddoo, when I watched him play, I was like, this guy has skills that it's just very raw. Like, he's one of those guys you can get by on raw athleticism a little bit. And if you can somehow continue to improve technique, he could be a guy that really sticks and he's a good kid. Like, he says, a really good guy, hardworking guy, the kind of guy you want to build teams around and have part of that. By the way, of all the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks, this might be the end of comments. This is the best comment ever. It's hilarious. A Wonky Penguin says, I also met my wife in slow pitch softball, but I definitely didn't want her to go the opposite way.
When I said that, by the way,
can we get this gal a hat? Can we get her a T-shirt? I mean, that is just the greatest.
What would I be doing with my birthday if I wasn't spending it with a Wonky Penguin? That's basically what I want to know. It'd be terrible. But yes, I did think of that when I said that.
Also for St. Christopher, he says, for an experienced 41-year-old, I'd be very careful drinking mimosas before the batting cages and make sure you stretch a lot. Dan's 41. I'm actually 67. I just look the same.
I'm the ageless one. You keep it a little in better shape than I do.
It's not even better shape. It's just when you're bald before everybody else, you look old. Then as everybody else gets older, you just look the same. You're accepted. Okay. It's like Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley, when he was 30, he was like 50. And now he's like 85. You're like, how old Ben Kingsley? He's like, I don't know. He's like 55. What is he like?
Not today. I mean, to show you how old, the reference I'm going to give, it's like Angela Lansbury. I mean, go back to the Manchurian Candidate back in the 50s. She looks like she's 90 and she's really 30. It's the best way she can do it, man.
I'm the Angela Lansbury of Fantasy Pros.
That's what I always say.
Timeless. I'm going to change my Twitter handle right now.
We are off the rails. All right. Keep it going. Let's go.
Let's talk a little murder, she wrote. Some people who murdered some fantasy lineups yesterday. You like that segue? Ross Stripling, 6 runs. Oh, remember when Ross Stripling was a thing for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, DTM Ross Stripling. I'm so happy I dropped that guy. It didn't ride this roller coaster. I dropped him in April, and then I had remorse, but now...
I did not. Still riding the Ross Stripling
Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson ain't healthy. I'm telling you right now, he ain't 100%. 8 runs for him, 2 Ks. He has not looked right since he's been back. He is not the same Kyle Gibson who we saw before he went on the IL. Diaz with a third blown save. Kevin Gausman, Kevin Gausman. That's
the one thing I will say this, we mentioned him in DFS show.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I don't think I really considered is, again, we talked about it with Maeda that time a couple of weeks ago, where it's like, man, when it's got like 8, right? I actually, it's my own bet. I just completely neglected it. Yeah. You should blame me. The fact is, when you've got that much rest, I don't really blame you if you're coming on 8 days rest and you have a bad start. So I'm throwing it out.
All right. Manoah hits the 10-day IL with a back bruise. Chisholm on the IL with a bone bruise. Christian Arroyo and Gavin Lux, both hamstring strains. Mookie Betts scratched with a hip injury. Luis Robert beginning rehab. That's good. Trout at 90%. Okay. Nick Castellanos missed another game with a wrist injury. Crawford, we mentioned, hits the IL with the oblique. So him and Francisco Lindor can go hang out together. Mike Zunino left yesterday's game with hip flexor tendonitis, and Yandy Diaz with back spasms. So, we hit a new milestone on the show. So if you haven't already, go to fantasypros.com/chat and join the Discord channel. Because even though if you can't win, it's all about getting involved in the home run contest because it's fun. We hit 500 yesterday. 500 home run club. Here we go for July. So we've had 500 home run crawls since the beginning of the season between Dan and myself, and then the crew. When did the crew start? Did they start in? Is it April, May? I want to say.
It's got to be.
It wasn't
May.
The first month of the season.
No.
Sure.
I need May or Tuma to verify this, but I think it was May. By the way, there is one other thing that I also saw, which is we have 35 channels overall in Discord. Again, a lot of it is NFL, of course, and that will get going. So this is not going to last. But the most active channel.
Nothing does, Dan.
The most active channel. Late May, says Wonky Penguin. The most active channel since we launched Discord is the home run channel. So I just want kudos to everybody who's in there making the calls. I love it. That's really, it's been the most active channel considering the traffic. I
think
love
that's good. Wait till you see the touchdown calls. When we start doing that, a running back and a wide receiver. have we solidified how we're doing that yet, or do we have a bot?
You and I will have a call. You and I will have a call. We'll work it out.
Another call. That's all I need.
Come on.
Another call.
You need a call.
All right.
You need
besides my 2 home runs from Juan Soto, which now puts me in second place behind D. Gordon Liddy. I'm tied with the Wonky Penguin now. 20 different Cracker Jacks called home runs yesterday. Now, there were a lot of home runs.
There were.
But that's a new record. 20. Congratulations, Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. And again, if you're watching the show or listening to the show, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB channel. That's how we roll here. But great stuff there from the home run calls there from the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. And obviously, we're nothing without our sponsor, which is Manscaped. So before we get to the DFS stuff, we want to just talk about, close shaves and making sure that body hair is all trimmed up real nice. So go to manscaped.com, use that code leading off, and get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0. It's got the skin-safe technology. It's got the LED light, the 4K LED light, the longest battery life ever. It'll read to your kids before bedtime. It'll get your coffee in the morning, and sometimes all you need is that Lawnmower 4.0 first thing in the morning, bringing that fresh cup of coffee. You sit out on the porch, and that sweet, sweet hum of the Lawnmower 4.0 is all you need. The birds are singing, the lawnmower's humming, and you have some shaved body hair, and it all can be yours at manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping with the code leading off. Your boss will thank you. We should get Donald Sutherland to come in and do a Manscaped breed.
It would be great.
Can we just get a little
to be fair, I would not replace you with anyone.
I would replace me with the ad reads.
I wouldn't. That guy's for the rest of the show, I just knock you right out. But come back for the ad reads, all right?
Oh goodness! All right, let's go. Let's start with the 13 games tonight. Good chalk is San Diego. Yu Darvish gets a second shot tonight, but Dan, there's that extra day. Now this was the extra day coming off the injury. So how do you feel about this? 11-2, but just 9-8 on DK for Yu Darvish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love it.
That says it all. I think your hemming and hawing says everything.
It's got my two bad, things that I hate, especially in DFS, which is first start back off an injury and extra rest. So I'm probably trying to avoid Darvish if I can. I don't absolutely hate it, especially with how much the Braves strike out, and especially without Acuna. But I'm probably avoiding it if I can.
All right, yeah, it's a weird game night for cash.
Cash
games. Trevor Rogers at 10K. I feel kind of safe about that. He's 10K on both. Garcia at home against the Indians. For the Astros, he's 9-6 and 10-4. 10-4 is a little expensive on DK for
It
Garcia,
is.
personally. And then you got like Aaron Nola, who's pitched like poop lately. He's going into Yankee Stadium. I don't love that.
And he's coming off the IL. I mean, it was COVID, but he's
yeah.
kind of,
Wade Miley against the Mets, with that Mets lineup being what it is right now, it's and John Means we don't like. This is kind of terrible, which means that it's a tournament night, which means if you're going to do it, try German Marquez, because the last 2 weeks German Marquez has been excellent. I don't remember a year where I've used Colorado in Colorado less than I have this year. I never go like, oh, tonight you got to go on Colorado, right? How often have we even said that on the show, I feel like?
No.
That used to be automatic back in the day.
It's also that their lineup sucks. Like, regardless, I mean, spoiler alert, I may be going there tonight for my home run call, but generally speaking, it sucks. So it's not as if we can pick on, it's like, and when, like tonight, they're going against Seattle, but it's German Marquez, who, by the way, forget about just the last couple starts. His season as a whole, I didn't even realize it until I was updating the trade chart last time, and I moved him. Like, he's had a phenomenal season especially since the beginning. Got off that slow start. He's the guy who I'm going with.
Brilliant.
He's the guy who I'm going with, man.
I have Ks, 4 walks, or something like that. He's been brilliant.
I have no hesitation with him. I'm going with him.
I'm going to go cheap. I'm going to go with Marquez and Tariq Skubal, who is 7.7 on DK. On FanDuel, I'm trying to remember where he's 8.2, which is okay if you want to go. But again, Marquez I'd rather have there, if all things being equal. 8.6 for Marquez. 8.1 and 7.7 with Skubal, Marquez Skubal. I think that's a really good, let's just get all the offense we can, because you're going to need it. Phillies in Yankee Stadium. Cincinnati's in play, obviously. Yes. San Diego's in play against the lefty for sure. I got a ton of right-handed power in that lineup. Houston at home. Then you got Boston versus Toronto, part 2. I mean, let me tell you, there's a lot of offense, and you're going to need some help. So some lineup builders on FanDuel. Get your pens and papers out, boys and girls. Ryan Mountcastle. Sorry, I had a senior moment there. See, I told you I'm in my late 60s. Ryan Mountcastle, 2.4. Tyler Naquin, 2.2. Kevin Biggio, 2.5. Jarren Duran, still just 2.2. I told you yesterday. I'm telling you again today. Just keep putting this in until it goes to, I don't know, when it gets to 3, we'll have another conversation. In the meantime, this guy can score points in lots of different ways. Alex Verdugo on FanDuel, also cheap, 2.7. Mitch Garver, just 2.3. On DK, Andrew McCutchen, 3K in Yankee Stadium. Jarren Duran, 2.3. Tyler Naquin, again, 2.3. Mitch Garver, 3.6. See a theme? It's the same guys on both sites, which is not always the case. Anthony Santander, free square, 2K over on DK. What? He's in the 4th or 5th in the lineup. I don't know how that happens. And Adam Frazier, it's 3.7, but it's a discount and a good matchup for him. So I like that a lot. So, Dan, it's your birthday. Have a party. I want you to party like it's your birthday. And I'm going to, even though I put my guy in the sheet first, I want you to go first. And you want to take my guy, you can take my guy. That's okay. Who is your home run call? Who are you calling your shot with tonight?
I am not kidding you. I was going to take your guy. That was the guy I was going to put in, and I saw you, and I said, "Oh no,
you can have it. It's your birthday. I want to give you my, really, and you could always, if you had just got on the board on the Juan Soto train with me, if you bought your ticket, it was leaving the station on Friday. You weren't there, but on Monday you had a chance to meet the connecting train and transfer to the Juan Soto Express. You chose not to. I'm giving you a chance to transfer tonight to somewhere else if you want to join me. But no, where are you going? Go ahead.
No, I'm going to Colorado, as I said, and I'm going with Trevor Story. All right, let's go. Let's go to Colorado. We don't pick on Colorado. I'm going there. Trevor Story, maybe one of his last few games in Colorado. Who knows? So let's go there. Trevor Story. Go ahead and make your home run call. Is it Juan Soto again?
It is not. It is not. You got to know, like George Costanza knew how to leave on a high note. You got to leave on a high note. You got to say thank you, good night. You got to move on. It's Bryce Harper in the wiffle ball field that is Yankee Stadium. That's what we're going to do tonight against Domingo Germán.
Yep.
Little Bryce Harper action. Yep. That's what I want.
Yep.
It's just, he hits a fly ball. It's out in that ballpark. Yep. That's just how it is. Great question here, by the way, from the Peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Ryan Mayer wants to know, Joey P., what are we doing with Vidal Brujan in season-long leagues? It's getting frustrating. Yeah, no kidding. I think what you do right now is you bench and hold because, you just wait and see because they need him to hit. Like, they need him and Wander Franco to start to live up to their potential a little bit and shake the dust off. The problem is when you're in a lineup like that doesn't have great lineup protection, it's very hard for kids to come up and be good right away. It just is. You're not seeing enough fastballs. They're going to pitch around you. If they're coming up into the Red Sox, right? Like when Jarren Duran's hitting in the 2-hole and he's got Rafael Devers and JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts behind him, it's a very different story, isn't it? Right? That's the difference. And I think when a team like the Rays, when they bring in a young hitting prospect, it's a challenge. And to a certain extent, it was a challenge back in the day for BJ Upton and Evan Longoria, too. Evan Longoria made that jump from Double-A. People forget. And it was good, and then it was a little not so good for a little while there, and eventually he became the lineup protection guy. But you have to have a little bit of patience there. I would just bench them. That's my plan. What are you doing with Brujan?
I'll answer, even though Ryan only asked you, not me. It's fine. Not like it's my birthday.
It's not
or anything.
Way to go, Ryan. On his
way
birthday.
to go, Ryan. Way to just twist the knife. I'm just kidding. So I rostered Brujan in a couple of leagues. So I'm not nearly as concerned with the poor performance so far because I don't know what he is, 1 for 14 or whatever it is. It's more about the fact that he's not starting. Like that is the deal. Like he's barely starting, which makes absolutely no sense. And the Rays are a smart organization, of course, but the idea that you're going to call this kid up and then have him ride the bench makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. What's the point of it? Yeah. So bottom line is this. I don't want to let this drive what I do, but I paid a fair amount for him in Fab when I added him because it was after the call up. I'm not dropping him, but you obviously can't start him right now. Keep him on your bench to the extent you can. If he doesn't get normal starting, in the lineup 5 out of 7 days within the next week or two, then I'm just going to drop him because I don't know what they're doing. That's what I'm doing.
I don't know what they're doing either. Like, why do you bring a kid up to not let him play? It doesn't make any sense. It's just, It's nutty. You also have to make it, keep in mind too, when guys are red hot at AAA, it's just the law of averages of baseball too. It's not going to last forever. So whenever you bring up a guy who's just raking, it's going to go the other way eventually sooner than later. So I always feel like that's always a negative. Bring up a player when he's like, not struggling, but just like not on a tear. Like Brujan was actually on a bit of a tear before he got called up again. And that's always going to be an ebb and flow. And Ryan apologizes. He says, Dan, I'm sorry. You come to my house.
You made up for it, Ryan. I forgive you. I forgive you. I appreciate it, though. It was very painful. But yeah, the thing with Brujan, again, is it just makes it is hard enough, especially given last year, the fact that there was no minor league baseball. It is hard enough to make the jump, as we have seen from several rookies this year. Even Franco has not been great to make the jump from AAA to the majors this year. The idea that you are going to do that with a prize prospect, call him up, and not start him regularly, when, by the way, it's not exactly as if the rest of the competition, the rest of the lineup, is some sort of dominant lineup or anything like that. You can fit him in anywhere you want. It's actually very frustrating just as a baseball fan. But it's the Rays, and I'm sure they'll wind up winning the World Series because they know what they're doing.
They're not winning the World Series. They got no pitching now.
Fair.
No Tyler Glass now. It's over. If they make the playoffs, I think it'll be a small miracle. Here's another question from Bryce. Bryce wants to know, Jeff McNeil or David Fletcher rest of season head-to-head Cats? Dan Harris, your thoughts?
Ooh, head-to-head Cats. Fletcher is, and somebody knows that earlier, he is not talked about enough right now because he's been good. But
he's been a lineup builder on this show many, many a time in the last 2 months.
Yeah. I'm going to go with McNeil. It's not a huge difference. I'm going to go with McNeil. There's more power with McNeil. Fletcher has 2 home runs on the season. Obviously hasn't played, that much, but he has actually played enough, but he missed a little time. But McNeil for me is a guy who you watched him swing lately. He had a nice day yesterday. I think McNeil's about to go on a little bit of a run here. So I will go with McNeil, not by a crazy amount, but Fletcher is underrated.
Yeah, Fletcher's definitely underrated, but McNeil's the better 5 category guy. Yep. In the Cats. If you're just a team that's desperate for runs, on the other hand, that's different. Like if you're looking at your team and they just don't score a lot of runs, maybe Fletcher's the way to go there because McNeil seems to be all over the batting order in different spots. So
they are kind of moving him. Especially without Lindor, who knows what they're going to do right now?
I don't know. It's a crapshoot, baby. That's all it is. Also, want to remind everybody we're giving away a Shane Bieber autographed jersey. Go to fantasypros.com/MLB contest. To get involved with that, all you got to do is leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts or CastBox, screenshot that bad boy, and then go over to fantasypros.com/MLB contest. And don't forget, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, that's a 3x entry for you. So subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB. Dinger Dan, final birthday thoughts on today.
I do have a couple. Number one, this may be our last giveaway of the season. I don't know for sure. It's possible. It's possible for the season. I know. So really get your reviews in, get your entries in. by the end of July. I'm not positive on that, but I think it might be. Second, you know what I checked in on yesterday? Leading off merchandise. Now, just to pull the curtain back a little bit, we have just had a little movement here at FantasyPros. No one leaving the company, but somebody moving over to another side of the company. That person ran the store. And so there was a little bit of transition. That's been the delay. I checked on it yesterday. It will be on the store by the end of the month, leading off merchandise. I will get one. I will wear it here. Hopefully you guys get one. Again, we love you. So again, I apologize for that. I know I said it when we got to 4,000 subscribers. It took a little while to get up, but it will be on the store by the end of the month. By the end of the month. End of the month. That's
there you go. And you know what? Next month in August, if we don't have any more pristine auction giveaways, I think somewhere here in the office I have season 1 autographed of Murder, She Wrote, the DVD collection. Autographed by Angela Lansbury. We can get
fantastic. She's still only 43, so it's weird. She's been alive for 120 years. Alive, right? I think so, yes. She's 192 years old. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, you know what, actually, Joe? Now that I'm just coming up the top of my head. If I don't have an item to give away, we'll give away leading off merch.
Everybody loves leading off merch. Everybody loves the merch. Get the merch. All right, that'll do it for us. Happy birthday to Dinger Dan. The story of the game goes on. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.